Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
Now, here is a motion picture film.
And now, ladies and gents, it's yo time.
To do the binds.
Say hello to my little friend.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
I'll shove that bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle.
Inconceivable.
Welcome to the All-American Spookshow podcast.
I'm sorry, boys. I'm afraid I can't do that. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Send me an angel. Send me an angel. Right now. Right now.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the All-American Spook Show podcast. I'm Josh and I'm joined here with Donnie.
Yo.
Will.
Are you ready?
And the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
I'm just moving past that. Blowing right by you. I'm on my BMX and I'm faster.
All right, Bart.
Bart. Since when has anyone named Bart been the fastest dude around?
Hey, eat my shorts, man.
Well, there's that, I guess. There is that.
This movie inspired a lot of injuries from me as a kid.
I'm sure.
I don't know how old y'all were when it came out. I was like, I think 13.
I'm sure there was an entire generation, or at least a little portion of that generation that was true for, and a bunch of doctors that got rich just off of the stupid shit that came out of this movie.
Well,
but yeah, this is the latest in the Cult Corner series. We're going to be talking about Rad from 1986. This isn't the first time I've seen this, but man, it's definitely the first time in like 30 years. It's been a long time. For me, wasn't one that I watched a lot. You know, like I saw it a couple of times back in the day. I didn't watch it over and over again, so it wasn't. This doesn't hold a dear close place to my heart, but it's still cool. A cool kind of time capsule movie.
Yeah, it's been probably about the same amount of time. I had actually forgotten one of my buddies named his son Crew after the title, the main character in the movie. I completely
did he spell
forgot
it the same way, like CRU?
Same
Yeah.
exact way.
Same exact way. Well thought out.
But he also did BMX when he was a kid up until I think in his 20s too. So he was active within the community, I guess.
Will, is this the first time you watched it?
First time I've seen this one. No, I watched a movie that was kind of similar. It was more like a heist movie back when I was a kid called BMX Bandits.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
But yeah, but no, I never saw Rad.
Smoke, I know you watched it, seen it 1,000 times. You said you got injured and stuff trying to emulate the shit in this movie. But do you think, as far as like this movie is concerned, did it kind of start, or was it another one of those type of movies during that time period? What came? Well, first?
I mean, it kind of came in. Well, I mean, after it's sort of like breaking was to breakdancing. This movie is to BMX, and like it already existed. As I remember it before this movie, as far as like getting the magazines and looking, seeing people on TV or whatever. I wasn't like deep into it where I knew all the main guys from BMX and all that, or like skateboarders or whatever. But it was around. I remember a few years before this movie. Of course, in bigger cities, I'm sure it was around even before that. But yeah, this one kind of like launched it off. I guess made it a little bit more popular in some respects from the VHS. So the movie in theaters, I never saw. It flopped as far as I knew.
I was about to say, we'll get into that here in a minute. That wouldn't have spawned anything. It was all VHS rentals later on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd already had to be really though in the 80s, and I don't know how it was. I mean, we're not too far apart in age. I mean, I know I'm 5 or 6 years older, maybe something like that. I mean, BMX is all it was as a kid. Even if I didn't have a skate park or to go to. I didn't have a half pipe or any of that stuff. We just had backyard. We had a pretty big backyard. We had ditches, homemade ramps and all that stuff.
Same here.
Nobody knew anything about mountain bikes or 10 speeds or 12 speeds. I mean, all the kids in the 80s and probably into the 90s It was about BMX bikes.
Yeah, my brother had a silver and white hutch with white mag wheels, and that thing was fucking awesome. Loved it.
I thought you were going to say mongoose.
No, it was a hutch. I remember.
Yeah, mongoose got pushed into. I mean, now I think mongoose is in what, Walmart and Kmart, or
probably. Probably.
I mean, it used to not be that way back then. It was like whatever off-brand kind of Walmart brand, whatever, knockoff BMX bikes they have. But yeah, I guess mongoose got. I mean, they're in this movie. In fact, as part of the core of the movie is the guy is like the head of the Mongoose Bicycle Company, right?
Yeah.
On the race and whatnot. So I mean, at some point in time, they really did break through and got down to buy their bikes in Walmart.
I guess they finally recovered from losing this race.
Yeah,
I guess so.
It took them a while, but thank God they bounced back. That empire shortly after this that became Rad Racing. Before we get any deeper into it, we wanted to remind you to go to aspookshow.com. That's the center of the Spook Show universe. From there, you can check out our YouTube channel. You can go to our Patreon, which you can also get to from patreon.com/AASpookshow. We have monthly video minisodes over there, Crapster Peace Theater, lots of cool stuff on our YouTube channel as well, including Video Vortex, Grindhouse Gutter, a couple other series, maybe some other stuff cooking. You never know. We've also got our big summer series coming up very soon on Memorial Day. It's going to be the Spook Show Summer Disaster, where pretty much disaster movies are going to be taking over just about everything we do on YouTube and on our podcast and on Patreon. Pretty much every facet of what we do will be kind of solely focused on disaster movies. Now, it's not just natural disasters. It could be apocalyptic events, zombie, apocalypse, alien takeovers, all that kind of stuff. Things that basically, if they happen in real life, would be a disaster. So that's kind of our loose criteria, and we're going to be having a lot of fun with it this summer. So we're going to have the big opening preview on Memorial Day, and then the following week we'll be watching the first movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters. So you want to keep your eyes out on our social and over on aaspookshow.com for information on all that. So, without any further talk, we'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for Rad.
His name is Crew.
Hey, good looking.
BMX is his world. Rad is his way of life.
The world would be a lot better off without kids.
We're here for the biggest and most important bicycle motocross event ever held, Hell Track.
This is a very important race.
The very finest riders in the country are here, riding for some $100,000.
Hell Track in this big town. They've got to be kidding. This is a joke. I really think I can get this one. I think I've got a chance.
I don't want to hear any more about it.
Everyone's on his case.
Get that. The paperboy thinks he's a pro.
He's nothing next to Bart Taylor.
He's got the style.
There's something about the way you ride so naturally.
And he's going to prove it.
I've never seen such raw determination and talent in one kid.
Against the factory hotshots.
Looks like the local yokel's going to race after all.
It's going to take a miracle to beat this guy.
Against the big money fixers.
All you have to do is take out that kid.
Against impossible odds.
You scared now? This guy doesn't even stand a chance.
Yeah.
He's going for it all. Rad.
All right, there you go. It's the trailer for that. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into the background since we've kind of already given laid our history with it out there. This movie, I've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, at least 3 I felt fairly interesting alternate titles to this movie. In multiple countries, it was just known as Hell Track. In Finland, it was known as BMX Hell Riders. And in Sweden, it was BMX Hell Raiders. So which one of those do you like better or worse than Rad?
Well, what about the original title? Did you come across that one? Or
yes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the original title was...
Go ahead, Donnie.
Yeah, it was Balls Out. Yeah. And I
didn't
actually,
see that.
It was the, I guess it was Sergeant Smith when they're, we're a spoiler podcast, but anyway, when Sergeant Smith is chasing him through the lumberyard, chasing Crew through the lumberyard, it was it was before he goes into the race. He actually says, go balls out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually after the lumberyard.
That stinks of like some suit heard that and said, "Oh, that'll be a good title for the movie," and then somebody said, "Nah, I don't know, you should do that."
Yes, people are going to think it's something else. They're going to think it needs to be seen in a grindhouse theater or something if you give it that title.
Yeah. You're going to confuse with Balls Deep.
Oh, okay.
That was also a spinoff of the Emmanuel series. Just FYI.
Emmanuel Lewis. Okay.
No, good Lord, no. That's two completely different Emmanuels that we're talking about here. Jesus. That is a good reminder that we are a spoiler-filled podcast. So from here forward, if you haven't seen Rad and you want to, hit pause, go check it out, and come back and have a good time with us. Yeah, I didn't hear that one, but I've got Hell Track, which makes sense, obviously. BMX Hell Riders and BMX Hell Raiders.
Make it sound like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing.
Yeah, all those. It sounds like a fucking horror movie, or like you said, a post-apocalyptic, wasteland Mad Max type of thing, But either way, it was released limited March 21st, 1986, and wide the following week, March 28th of 1986. It was produced by Talia Film 2 Productions and distributed by TriStar Pictures and Utopia. It was, of course, rated PG. Total runtime of 1 hour and 31 minutes. On IMDb, it's listed as a drama/sport. Filmed in Cochrane and Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Which I found it interesting when I saw that Cochrane, right? Because wasn't in the movie, it was Cochrane, Oregon. I think was the name of the town they were in. So they went with Cochrane, just changed it from Canada to Oregon for some reason. It was filmed from August 7th through October 1st of 1985 there for a budget of $3 million. Now, I would imagine most of that money must have went to some of the character actors in this movie. Because what else could they, I guess maybe on the stunts, right? Spent some money on stunts.
Yeah, and a lot of building the ramps and whatnot.
I guess.
I know one thing. Now, this wouldn't have ate into the budget too much, depending on how many bike riders they had in that final scene. But apparently, they paid each of the professional bike riders, $500 for each time they purposely fell on the track.
Uh-huh.
Was it wipe out or whatever on Hell Track, or the scenes when it was supposed to be Crew doing a backflip on his ramp and landing on the
mattresses.
At first, he was landing on mattresses, but then she told him take the mattress away, and he did it once and landed on his back.
Yeah,
that was one of those stunt riders who got $500. So, some of them I think wrapped up. Like one of the guys did like at least 3 or 4 falls and made like $1,500, $2,000 each.
You can see it throughout when you're watching the movie, man. Some of these people bite it hard. Like this ain't. This wasn't on purpose, but it was done for a budget of $3 million, but it only went on to a worldwide gross of $2 million, which yikes! And I'm sure they pretty much took a bath on it, with PR or all the ads and stuff like that. But I'm sure they probably ended up at least breaking even, I would imagine, in just VHS rentals and sales later on.
Yeah, I know it took off pretty good on.
Yeah,
not just me and my group of friends, or whatever. But I mean, worldwide. Well, maybe not worldwide, but at least in America, yeah, it had a second life on VHS for sure.
The box office of that weekend. This is pretty good. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. This movie did not crack the top 10. It was number 16 in its opening weekend. Now, this was that limited release that I talked about, but still, it was in only 286 theaters that weekend. Right, this is funny. Right above it at number 15. The opening weekend of GoBots Battle of the Rock Lords.
I forgot that there even was a GoBots movie.
There you go. It barely beat it out. But the top 10 that weekend of March 21st through the 23rd, 1986. Number 10, Crossroads. Number 9, in its opening weekend, Just Between Friends. Number 8, Hannah and Her Sisters. Number 7, Care Bears Movie 2, A New Generation. Will, that's for you.
Yay!
Number 6, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. Number 5, the 1986 re-release of Sleeping Beauty. Number 4, in its 14th week, The Color Purple. Number 3, Pretty in Pink. Number 2, Gung Ho. And number 1, in its opening weekend, this is awesome, Police Academy 3, Back in Training. You forget how big those Police Academy movies were,
yeah.
Nine of them. Part, well, at least through part 3. I don't know how well they did after that, but they started dropping off much after that.
Yeah,
right?
probably. Yeah. I mean, even as it was number one that weekend, it barely scratched $9 million. So it was kind of a down weekend at the box office, clearly. But yeah, still some pretty big ones there. And of course, GoBot's Battle of the Rock Lords.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, Rad has the privilege of being beat out by low rent Transformers and Care Bears movie 2.
The fucking Kmart Transformers. GoBots. Oh, shit. But anyways, it was directed by Hal Needham, who's might be one of those like most interesting man in the world type dudes. He's like one of the most well-known stuntmen in Hollywood history. I think he even got like a couple of like honorary Oscars and shit, one like much later on after he had passed. But he also directed the first two Smokey and the Bandit movies, the first two, or maybe the only two, I'm not sure, but at least the first two Cannonball Run movies, Stroker Ace. So he was all about the prime films of old Burt Reynolds there.
Yep. And car racing type movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those. Huh?
Yeah, one of those Oscars that he had won was for his he invented some type of camera or something, or at least had a hand in it for basically for car stunts. So that's why he got an Oscar much later on in life. But yeah, Hal Needham, interesting dude. This movie was written by Sam Bernard, who you may know did Warlock the Armageddon. I doubt you'd know that, but hey, you never know. Somebody listening to this might know that. And it was also written by Jeffrey Edwards, who did Trail of the Pink Panther and Curse of the Pink Panther a handful of years before this. The movie stars Bill Allen as Crew. He's had a number of television roles, but probably one of his bigger roles other than this would be a role in Born on the 4th of July with Tom Cruise. Lori Loughlin as Christian. Once again, a number of TV movies, television series throughout the 80s and 90s, 2000s, but probably best known for her role in Full House.
And getting her kid in college.
Yeah. by shady means. Like we had. Didn't she like go to prison for that or some shit? Or
she did. Yes. She
served time.
Did a little ass sliding there too.
Shit. God, I wish we were ass sliding.
God, what I wouldn't give to go ass sliding with you right now.
And you notice how she just kind of moved right on from it, right?
Yeah. So, anyways, it also
I believe in you.
I had to rewind that scene again because I'd forgotten about what he called it.
Yeah, I did. I did the same thing. I did the same thing. I call it ass sliding. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? And then I had to rewind it. I rewound it like just to make sure that's what he said. He said ass sliding. And then he enjoyed it so much he had to mention it again later on in the movie. They felt it entirely necessary to do that. We'll get into it. This movie also stars Talia Shire as Mrs. Jones. This is one of those like, how the fuck did they get her in this movie roles? Right? Like an Oscar-nominated actress from Rocky, The Godfather, tons of other, great films. Now she just plays the, I don't give a shit about your dreams mom in this movie. Could have been anybody, right? Like, why her? $3 million budget. Ray Walston as Burton Timmer, another classic character actor who would probably be best known from that TV series back in the 50s, 60s, My Favorite Martian. Probably, I guess that might have been early 60s or so. I can't remember the time frame. And he also had... He
oh yeah, you probably mentioned it.
Later in life, he had he played this kind of role, the old asshole type of role, and he was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, right? That handful of others. Yeah. Another great character actor, Jack Weston as Duke Bess. The guy that's owns the Mongoose Biking Company or whatever the hell it is. He may best be known from a role in Dirty Dancing a little after this. Another movie back in the 60s, I believe, Wait Until Dark. Another one of those guys that you see, it's that guy. There was a few in this movie. These three that I just mentioned and a couple others. So it was an interesting cast in that way. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Did you guys have anything else that you dug up on old Rad here before we get into it?
The one thing that I thought was kind of funny is apparently none of the stunt drivers could finish the Hell Track, like, in one continuous run.
It was too hard?
I guess.
Yeah.
Hell Track, it was but the movie was delayed because they had to rebuild the track because none of the riders would go down that first actual Hell Track ramp because apparently, it's steep enough in the movie, but before that, I don't know what the original height was, but they cut it down to 25 feet. So I don't know what it was before, but it was so high that none of the professional riders like, nah, we're not going down there.
Yeah, the song, which they, I guess, Crew and what's her name? I guess they're doing that, the trick in the gym, little trick montage. Send Me an Angel was also heard in The Wizard, another 80s movie. Yeah. Teen Wolf 2 and GTA 5.
Yeah, those. I'm GTA 5. I was thinking of which one was the one that was in the 80s? San Andreas? No.
Vice City.
Vice City.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one had an awesome soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a memorable song in this movie. As far as the
yeah,
singer,
their dance routine to it on the bikes, on the bikes, in the prom-like dance setting or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll talk. While we're on that, what about the twins? Well, the Mongoose Racing twins.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's another one of those 80s tropes that I fucking hate. And we'll get I'd made a note of that. I hate the twin thing for no reason.
And before I forget about this part of it, because once we get in the movie, I might forget it. But I remember watching this and their suits when they were dancing, they had they're twins, and they have also two matching suits that were very 80s looking. But it was a specific thing that I was like, look at these aliens from V or whatever. Well, apparently those suits were from the TV series V. They just reworked beret.
Is that the ones that were wearing that had their names embroidered in it?
Yeah, I believe so. They were grayish color or black when they were on the dance floor with them or whatever.
It might have been that, because I just remember seeing them the fucking twin thing again, and then you see their names embroidered, Rod and Rex or whatever. God almighty.
Yeah, well, I got a feeling that we'll be getting back around to them later on in the show.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's refreshment time, and our refreshment stand is loaded with good things to eat. There's crispy, crunchy popcorn and hot, delicious buttered popcorn. Lots of candy and frosty, refreshing cold drinks. Why not treat yourself at the Refreshment Center now?
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So like we normally do, I just went on over to audible.com and typed in BMX. I typed in Rad, nothing in particular came up. But I typed in BMX, and wouldn't you know it, the very first thing that pops up, My Rad Career by Bill Allen. That's the guy that played Crew. His book.
Funny.
Narrated by Dan Gavilson. I don't know how to say his name. It's almost 5 hours long, 4 hours and 46 minutes. So yeah, the cover says it was the 1980s, Hollywood celebrities, and the dawn of extreme sports. And it's a horrible cover, by the way, old Bill Allen there. You've also
is it the one with him just sitting on the bicycle, but the way he looks today, right? Like a model photo of him sitting on.
Yeah. What, do you have this book?
No, but I saw it on the documentary.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's a couple other, there's a handful of books that come up, but the only ones that look interesting are BMX Challenge by Jake Maddox, Sean Tiffany. That's part of the Jake Maddox Sports Story series. That one's only 34 minutes. Then one that's even shorter, BMX Freestyle by Tracy Moorer. That one's only 18 minutes long. So there's a handful of other things, BMX type books, and I don't know, All Things BMX Show with the real. Oh, that's another podcast. Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. Screw that. We don't advertise other podcasts here. So if any of that rad BMX type action floats your boat, you can go on over to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audio books. And now I'm going to hop on over to IMDb and I'm going to click on plot summaries. Let's see what we got here, Donnie. Okay, well, there's only 3 and one of them's longer, so it's not super long. So I guess we'll go through these. The shortest one. I haven't even read it yet. The story of, this is the short one, the story of one young man, Crew Jones, who has the intensity and desire to win a BMX race called Hell Track. Then we've got the second one here, submitted by Josh Petrus. The story of Crew Jones, a young man who can overcome all obstacles that prevent him from participating in the BMX race Hell Track. As he works towards his dream, Crew falls in love with Christian, an amateur racer. With the help of Christian and her friends, can Crew's rad racing team defeat the top BMX factory rider, Bart Taylor? And then we got the long one. This was submitted by Kristen over there. Rad is the story of a Crew Jones, a guy who lives a small town. I'm reading this the way it's already a fucking debacle. A guy who lives a small town kind of life and spends his time delivering newspapers and having fun with his friends, all amateur BMX bike riders. That's one sentence.
No punctuation.
No, none. When a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity comes along to compete in a race mixing amateurs and professionals, he jumps at the chance to qualify and follows fate as he meets Christian, a female BMX semi-pro rider who rides for Mongoose. ... While falling in love and following his heart, he blows off the SATs in order to qualify for the chance to ride in Hell Track.
For AD.
The old AD.
Yep. Putting it all on the line for the chance of something amazing while uniting his small town, overcoming the odds, and showing people what true passion really means. Good Lord. That was like someone that doesn't speak English told someone to type this, and then they just roughly translated it. Yeah, this is fine enough. Who cares? It's rad.
Does it have a name beside it? Was it 13-year-old Smoke?
It just says Kristen. That's all I know. It says Donnie here submitted it.
Oh, fuck. Last night.
After he was half asleep and just decided to wake up and write a synopsis on IMDb for Rad. I think you have to start right at the beginning with this movie, though. The 4.5 minute long intro of just bike stunts.
Oh yeah.
That's a common theme at the beginning and the very end of this movie. Like, that's literally how they begin it and end it, right? It's just some random bikers just doing bike stunts with some 80s music playing. But that's
in that way, though, it's very much like those complimentary type movies that came out at the time, like Breakin'. When we get to Breakin', where it's like the in opening credits are just professional or whatever you want to call it, break dancers over the credit sequence or whatever. What was the movie that came out the same year as skateboarding called Thrashing? I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
came out in 1986 as well. Mm. Same type of deal. They got professional skateboarders, and I guess they wanted to show off their these skills or whatever, so they would have the long opening credit sequence, the ending credits, and some other various montage type scenes too.
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with the story other than the fact that this happens. No. They're bikers. Okay, we get it. Now watch these dudes do this for 4.5 minutes. Well, once you
speaking of the Police Academy, what was the Police Academy movie that opened with skateboarders?
Remember that one? Which one? But wasn't
the one with David Spade?
I was about to say it was the one with David Spade, so I don't remember which one that was.
Yeah, like the whole beginning was just them, like these like skater punks in the city, right? I forget what they were. It's been so long since I've seen it, but
I don't
remember.
Was it not
like
Citizens on Patrol? Maybe I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I don't remember the number, but God, it was like 8 of those things, right?
One of the skaters, I think.
Sure. I love the Police Academy movies, but they all blend together to me. Like I don't remember one from the other.
Especially if you haven't seen them in a while, and I haven't seen any of them, including the first one, in years.
Yeah, it's been a while. Maybe that's a.
I think I know what we're doing next summer.
Yeah. The Summer of Police Academy. That'd probably get us through the whole damn summer if you just did those movies.
It's almost as many as Hellraiser.
No, actually, no. Unfortunately, Hellraiser's got them beat. There's 42 Hellraiser movies.
42? Holy shit! No.
Yeah. We've only watched 6.
I just like how we just like, this series sucks. Let's do a real series. Yeah. Evil Dead. Yeah,
we just kind of
just to cleanse our Hellraiser palate.
We just spliced Evil Dead movies in just because we didn't want to watch anymore right now. Well, those last few, boy, that'll do it to you. Maybe. Maybe
you can't like just cycle through them all once you get to like part, I don't know, 5 or so.
No,
you gotta take a break.
It pretty much starts after the third one. Like 4 down, it's been atrocious. Let's face it. Anyways, the next 4 minutes of the movie are just them delivering newspapers. So you're damn near 10 minutes into this movie, and all you've seen is bike stunts, and then Crew and his buddies delivering newspapers doing bike stunts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which is just another excuse to show more bike stunts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had looked. I was kind of curious which came out first, whether it was Rat or Paperboy. But Paperboy was released a year before this.
Yeah, Yeah, I was about to say, I bet you Paperboy's older than this.
No.
Speaking of bike movies too, I wonder when Quicksilver came out, because that was another bike movie from the 80s. I mean, in a totally different mode, with the 10-speed, 12-speed type bike movie through the city.
How about the cycle chase with Sergeant Smith there? Like, it's like every day at a certain appointed time, like he's just gonna come like honk his horn. They're gonna go out and have a chase with this guy, and then
he's the Roscoe P. Coltrane of that town.
Yeah. How about when the when the professionals roll into town and they have a parade, and Bart, what's his name? Bart Taylor, right? I think that was his name. The main guy. He just stops. He's driving one of the cars in the parade. He just stops the parade for apparently no fucking reason whatsoever. Like
just to hit on the girl.
He just gets out, like goes over there, like he whispers something to her you can't hear. She just rolls the window up, and then he gets back in his car, and then they just continue the parade. Like, what the fuck was that? Couldn't they have thought of a better way to like introduce there's some tension or heat between these people than that?
That was a big boss move.
But then shortly after that, Crew stops the parade, right, for a more legitimate reason. Maybe, I don't know, this lady needs to get home to get her cake out of the oven, and she's stopped by the parade, so he like just stops it and moves the thing, and so the lady can go through.
What is it though? I just now got to the point in my notes here. What was it with the twins in all the 80s movies? Like, I think we've talked about this before. There was something else we watched that had damn twins in it, and it keeps coming up. Not every 80s movie, but it was a thing. Yeah.
There was Tomax and Zammot from fucking G.I. Joe.
Oh no! One of the ultimate twins '80s movies, though, has got to be the Barbarians, with the Barbarian brothers, Kuchek and Gore.
Yeah.
Oh, you had the twins from Shining.
Yeah, but no, not like that. I mean, that was just like, let's get some creepy little girls. Not that they're naturally creepy, just the way they did it. They were just trying to go for creepy there, but there was something about like twin buff dudes in movies, like you said in the Barbarian or whatever, and then or it was like two hot identical twin, chick, like blonde haired chicks in every other movie. It was like the ultimate dream. Let's get twins and everything. And then of course,
and then you had twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
God damn it, I was about to say it. Then you had those identical twins, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it was a whole thing in the 80s. The bike spotlight dancing scene with "Send me an angel." Impromptu.
Now there was some cool stunt scenes in there, but then there's also cheeseball ones, right, where she's like doing ballet on the bike with she's up on her feet.
By the way, Lori Loughlin didn't know a fucking thing about a bicycle. You can clearly tell. This should be called editing the movie, because there's some crafty editing in this movie. I'll give them that. Another good alternate title is Sponsorship the Movie, because really that's what this is about, right?
USA Today on the paperbook.
Just beyond the advertising everywhere. I'm going to look past Kicks, right? I'm going to look past all that. I'm just talking about, like, at some point this movie turns it from a BMX stunt racing movie. For about 20 to 30 minutes, it's nothing but sponsorship shit. Like, oh, we need to get a sponsor. And then they make their own sponsorship team. And then the guy's like, no, you need, what, $49,000 more dollars? Yeah, or whatever the fuck. Then they need to raise money. Like, it's like a fundraiser movie, like for 20 or 30 minutes till you finally get to Hell Track.
Well, there's the alternate title, Ass Sliding the Movie, but that was already taken.
Yeah.
So,
that was already playing on Grindhouse in the Grindhouse.
So we had ass sliding.
Right, enough with the ass sliding in Grindhouse, okay?
So we had ass sliding. We've got balls out. We've got
ass sliding.
What the hell?
It's just totally uncomfortable.
I guess in the end they chose the right title in Rad, because all those other ones not cool, man.
Yeah, and Rad it is the ultimate 80s name, right? I mean, what else are you going to call it? I mean, the balls out thing, yeah, that might have been a saying in the 80s. But no, Rad was the perfect, I think, title.
Fucking ass sliding. And it's not even like they slid down a hill or anything. It's like it's a slide meant for doing exactly what they did. So he's not smart just calling it ass sliding. Like, it's not like he invented this thing,
Who wrote that? I need to know who wrote that line in there. Was it their script writer that's credited, or was it somebody else?
I would hope. I would hope that's at least improv, because I don't think anybody would want to take credit for that.
It's probably him. It's probably that actor Cruz came up with it.
Bill Allen.
Thing for this scene.
Yeah, maybe in Bill
Allen's. I'm gonna
Allen's.
bring it back in the last scene.
Maybe in Bill Allen's book, there's a deep, long chapter on where he came up with ass sliding. Shit. Speaking of Bill Allen and crew, he's just a pouty bitch for a big part of the movie. Especially the part where, like, was it when he finally came down, like, no, you need $49,000, and then he just, like, goes off on Christian. She's like, yeah, we can figure it out. No, fuck you, bitch. I just met you yesterday, but you can go eat a bag of dicks. And then he just pout.
And his sister, like, makes the shirt, and he's like, oh, fuck this shit. I mean, he didn't say that. He's like,
no, it would have been way better if he did. This is rated PG, but fuck this shit.
Shirt on or whatever, you know.
She's like, come on, man. I know we just met, but, you know, we can figure it out. No. And then they make up over ice cream. He never really, did he even apologize for it? He just kind of like, ice cream. Yeah, and then they're cool again. They kiss. That was it.
He drags her over and shows her the sign with the whatever, make friends sign that's hanging there.
Yeah.
And then they lick the ice cream together.
Dick move, crew.
Almost as good as ass sliding, but not quite.
You know, I think now we're going to have to design a shirt for our T-Public shop.
Let's go ass sliding.
Let's go ass. No, it's got to say, God, I wish I was ass sliding. That's what it's
No, it says, man, what I wouldn't do to go ass sliding.
What I wouldn't give to
right
be ass sliding right now.
I think this is a whole collection, by the way.
Yeah. The Spookshow ass sliding collection, available now on tpublic.com.
It's rad, man.
We can't be the only ones that's thought of this ass sliding T-shirt concept. I think
you just sell them outside of slide parks, like water parks.
that one like notorious water park back in the 80s.
You go ass sliding.
where kids got like maimed and all fucked up and shit up in New Jersey or whatever that was.
Oh, Action Park?
Yeah, the Action Park. We do it in the same font of Action Park, but it says ass sliding. That's the shirt. So eventually you finally get to the Hell Track race. Was it, I guess my question is, was it satisfactory? You know, was it everything you had built it up to be? Like, oh, you know, this, especially back when you watched it back in the day, like, was this the this is the holy shit of BMX tracks? I mean, did it live up to it, Smoke?
I thought back in the day, and even now, I thought it was shot well, I guess, to a certain degree, as far as the bowl, you know, they had that little bowl thing, and they had the ramp, and they had, although I do know they had to shoot it in sections, because they tried to shoot this thing overhead, do all kind of stuff, I guess, with it, and turned out they had to put cameras on each section of the track and just shoot and then edit that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It took them like 2 weeks just shooting the Hell Track scene.
I can believe it. You can tell they shot the hell
back in the day.
of it.
I like that climax. I thought was satisfactory to me back then. And like I said, some of that stuff was probably, you know, me jumping ditches and dirt hills and things and getting hurt is probably inspired by the conclusion of that movie. I never had a swimming pool to like do the half pipe stuff in or any of that.
Yeah, how many bootleg Hell Tracks were probably built? You know,
God.
in fields and woods and everything in every town USA. Talia Shire, like we said, you know, she's the mom in this movie. I came to the conclusion that she was only there to cheer on an underdog. Like basically like, hey, you know that thing you did in Rocky? Yeah, now you're a mom. Just do that. Yeah. That's what we need. We couldn't get anybody else but you to do this.
The only thing she didn't do was like scream at him, "You can't win."
Yeah. That was the only thing. Well, she might as well have in less words. You know. You fucking idiot. Take your SAT.
I actually didn't take the SAT. I don't know if you guys did. I think it shows, too.
Crew probably never did either, because you know once he won this.
He's like,
he got that Chevrolet Corvette. He's like, fuck the SATs.
Fuck the
SATs, man.
I got $100K and a Corvette, bitch.
I'm going ass sliding, bitches.
You know,
that's how he celebrated.
That's the soundbite takeaway right there. I'm going ass sliding, bitches. You know, most people probably would have been happy with $10,000 though. Like, because remember he qualifies and wins $10,000. Like, shit, 1985, right? That's a lot of fucking money. Okay, I'm good, boss. See ya.
I know it's a damn fact he didn't go back 6 months later and take that SATs. If you got $10,000 a Corvette, clout and all that sponsorship. Yeah, he's not going back to his SAT.
The only thing cooler would have been if he'd have arm wrestled for a truck. That's it.
True, yeah, it doesn't have that.
Thing,
have that.
Yeah. And then at the very end, like, okay, so Crew wins the race. Surprise, surprise, right? He wins $100,000, the adulation of all, gets a Corvette. But the very end of the movie is Crew and Bart team up. Like, we got a spot for you on the rad race, and all right, yeah. Freeze frame.
Hold on, the awkward hold of the bike before they freeze frame it.
Yeah, it reminds me.
I'm like, why are they?
It reminds me of that hobo fight that you and I saw that one time.
It's a hobo fight with bicycle.
Oh, we saw. Side note here, Will and I both saw a damn hobo fight on the side of the road where they had a bicycle in the air, just pushing it back and forth. That was the end of this movie. Maybe that's what they were doing, Will. They were. Hey, you remember that the end of Rad? Yeah, I remember that. And then we just saw it at that moment. End credits. That's where you get a bunch of more bike tricks, for a few more minutes during the credits.
I do love that one scene right before the hell track race starts, where it's just like, all right, well, to get all these guys here, we're going to name every single person up here.
Yeah. Well, that's the video game moment, right? Where you have to have, like, coming up next is this guy from Chicago and this guy from, Indonesia or whatever the fuck.
And then this was funny. I read this on IMDb. It's 20 people in that race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they only read 19.
Well, they did, I guess. Okay, did they read? I forget. Did they read Crew again? Maybe it was unnecessary. I don't remember.
Well, there was one guy that broke his leg.
Maybe it had already been cut down to 19. We've already put too much thought into it. The head count. How about the one guy that, like, during the race, he was, I don't know, so and so from California or from Hollywood or something. He bit it like 2 or 3 times. Like, it was the same guy that kept biting it. It was like,
yeah, he was making $500 a hit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
now
right,
it makes sense.
Oh yeah, this movie, we didn't mention it yet. I meant to earlier on at the top maybe, but it's kind of based on a true story. Now I don't know about the specifics of his background, the whole college thing and the hell track thing or whatever, but the Crew character is based on Eddie Fiola, which was a professional BMX rider, and he was also in the movie doing the stunts for Crew. And the reason why the actor who played Crew had to dye his hair that color, because I guess his hair is not that dark brown color, but Eddie Fiola's is, and he was doing his stunt riding.
That does bring up a question, like, because I didn't really look into it too much. Like, how much of this were like legit like BMX riders? Like, I'm sure, I would imagine most of what you see here is like they just got the dudes that do this for real, and then just gave them fake names or whatever the hell, right? I guess the real question is how many of these were real ones, and like, did they use their real names or anything like that?
Yeah.
I know for a fact who was now I can't think of his name right now. The one that we're talking about that fell a few times. His first name is Mike. I can't think of his last name now, but that was his real name. Mike, whatever this character's last name is, was the actual BMX rider.
Last name is Hawk, but you have to say it real fast.
Lincoln Hawk?
Mike.
Oh,
Mike
no, that's not. No, that's not his name. You're a fraud, sir.
Mike Hawk.
You just had to do it.
I know. I'm done.
Yeah. Everybody could have just put it together.
10 years
you
old.
didn't. Yeah.
I'm 10
Well,
years old.
Would you go ass sliding with Mike Hawk or no? Oh, no.
God.
All right, this podcast is going to get explicit on this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to title this episode "Rad." It's just going to be off the rails. Balls out.
It's going to be balls out.
Yeah,
balls out.
Balls out. 1986.
All right, I don't even know what I was looking for now. I can't even find it, but I was looking up something on IMDb, and I've already lost track of what that was.
Yeah, nothing matters anymore. Fuck it. All right, well, we kind of we all nominated a movie and threw it in, and we did a wheel spin, and that's how we came to the conclusion here. But, Smoke, I believe this was your nominee. So, that being said, we'll let you give the star rating first. Now, this is comparing it to other movies that we've done here on Cult Corner, for fairness sake. So, that being said, where do you land with your star rating on this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen this one plenty of times, and it's one of those types of movies where, like, if I hadn't seen it and I was just watching it now for the first time, I'm sure that my rating would be a lot less than what it's going to be. But having seen it, I don't know how many times as a kid, and then hell, it's probably been just a year or two since the last time I've seen it, so really not that long ago. I guess I'll probably have to go with I'll go with 3.5 stars.
Donnie, what do you say?
Very nostalgic vibes out of this one. I'd probably, I don't know if I'd quite go 3.5. I'll meet you in the middle at 3.25.
Well,
yeah, I echo the same thing that Donnie just said. This is my first time seeing this. Definitely hit like a lot of nostalgia. Like I mentioned earlier of BMX Bandits and similar movies like it. I enjoyed it. So considering the time that it came out, I think I'll give it 3.75.
I can't disagree with anything you guys have said, but I'm not going to quite as high as y'all have. I'm going to give it 2.75 stars, and that's more based on just some of the other Cult Corner movies that we've done. I can't quite place it as high as some of those, but I mean, yeah, as far as like I said off the top, time capsule type of flicks, for the most part, other than the ass sliding stuff, it's family friendly, right? Right. I mean, nothing else, there's not much of any cussing that I remember, or, obviously there's no violence or anything like that other than just people biting it hard, driving BMX bikes. So yeah, I mean, it's a family movie, pretty tame, but it's entertaining. It's just, I can't quite put it on a real high level. So that gives us a consensus though of 3.3 stars. So clearly overall, we highly recommend you check it out if you've never seen it. If you haven't, well, we've pretty much spoiled it for you. But I think, even with what we've talked about here, you could still enjoy it, even if you haven't seen it.
And just to go see that ass sliding scene.
Yeah. Because it's not enough to see them continue to go down the hill 2 or 3 times, but then at the end of it not really be wet. It's worth it. It's worth it just for that.
Yeah, and the whole ass sliding scene, not to make this whole thing about ass sliding, but that seemed a very much it seemed very anticlimactic, pardon the pun, compared to when they rode the bikes off the side of the hill into the water. I mean, that seemed like
what the hell? That I mean, they got launched.
Yeah.
At least
when I first saw this movie, you don't know that it's going to do that. You don't know he's going to end up in the water. You just see a close-up of him on the bike and it's going sideways. I'm like, how the hell is he going to pull this off? How's he going to land this one? And then he goes in the water.
One of them probably had to have gotten seriously injured if that happened in real life, right? Because I think she's like midair, comes off the bike. So like, best case, she lands on top of the bike and gets fucking, seriously injured. No, they just kiss.
And anyway, I'm pretty sure they did that before the ass sliding scene. So yeah, it seems like that she would have. This is your favorite thing, ass sliding? I mean, yeah, riding the bikes was much more thrilling off the cliff into the water.
Somebody please go through this podcast and count how many times ass sliding has been said.
You should make a drinking game out of ass sliding. You would get pretty much alcohol poisoning in the hospital if you did that.
I knew it would be a thing we'd laugh about, but I didn't think it'd be this much of a thing. I'm surprised.
I know.
I am surprised.
Kind of dominated. Get it?
Yeah. I got it. I don't want it, but I got it. So anyways, over on IMDb, it got 6.7 out of 10 stars. So that's really good, but the Metascore, yikes. Metascore of 24, that's out of 100. So, yeah, not good. But, once again, this isn't one of those kind of movies you're going for true, like deep thinking cinema, unlike what we're going to be talking about next week, right? Completely different types of movies, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
This is more of like, let's just have some fun watching the cheesy 80s flick type of movie. So, So there's that.
Yeah, you can't take it seriously at all. And
no.
I mean, hell, even the critics then, I remember reading critics. I mean, back then I didn't read critics' reviews, but I remember doing the research for this movie, critics back then panning it for saying that you don't even go see it if you're over 20 years old.
Yeah. I can believe that. We don't do the kill count, the highlight kill, the gore score, or anything like that because it's Cult Corner, but we do have the cult connections.
Ronnie, where's the cult connections? Come out and play!
All right, there you go, bud. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, we kind of alluded to it earlier.
Oh, let me cut this off. Sorry.
yeah, very purposeful.
What?
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we kind of alluded to it earlier, but Rex and Rod Reynolds were played by Chad and Carrie W. Hayes. They're probably best known as the Conjuring universe creators, writers. So they date back to all of our, well, basically the Conjuring universe, because we're up to date with it.
You know, like when I saw their names, you say that now. When I saw their names, I was like, man, that sounds familiar. When I saw their real names, but I didn't even like, who cares? So it's fucking twins. Holy shit.
They're in Rad. Fuck it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but there's also a couple more. So I guess that's primarily, from the crew side. I said there's a couple more, but also from the crew side, stunt coordinator Pat Romano, well-known stunt coordinator. He dates back to a previous cannon fodder Mannequin from 1986. And then you also mentioned Ray Walston. Ray Walston, one of the cast, he plays Burton Timmer, also one of the financier that gets him over the 50,000, before the race. Yeah. He was in Popcorn.
Oh yeah.
Previous Spook Show episode.
By the way, I finally found it on Rotten Tomatoes. On the tomato meter, currently it sits at 42%, which isn't good, but still better than 0 that I'd seen at some point. And it still sits at a 90% on the audience score. So still a big gap. But yeah, that's once again for a cult favorite type movie. That's kind of what you would expect. Next week, this will actually be the last movie that we watch before we get into the Spook Show Summer Disaster, because after that we've got the preview episode and then we get into it. So. We're going to be watching Will's pick. It was his selection, and he had to pick a newer one. So, Will, what did you choose for us there?
We're going in summertime.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go with Midsummer.
So you're just.
I thought you were saying Hot Resort. Oh no!
Shit, no. So you're just skipping pretty much like Memorial Day, the entire month of June, and heading right for Midsummer, right? You're going into July.
Yes.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting one because I remember watching this back, when it came out. And I'm like, at that point, I was like, oh God, one of these days we're going to talk about this on the podcast, and this is a hard one to dive into, in some ways. So, but still,
a lot of meat on the bone, right?
Yeah, there is, but it's also kind of in some ways hard to explain. And Smoke, I know you're into this kind of what would you say, culture, this type of stuff. I know you like a lot of that stuff, so maybe you can help us along the path here.
Yeah. You're putting into a name as far as like subgenres, folk horror.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. So we'll be getting into that next week. The synopsis on IMDb is: a couple travels to Northern Europe to visit a rural hometown's fabled Swedish midsummer festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be something interesting. We haven't done a lot quite like this. So it's going to be an interesting episode. So you want to come back next week for that. That'll be episode 161. Comes out on May 22nd. So yeah, it'll be the last movie that we watch that isn't like part of the Spook Show Summer Disaster until we get like well into the end of August. So yeah, so I guess for that's pretty much it. So for Will, Donnie, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All American Spook Show, and we will talk to you next week for Midsummer.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.